Hey everybody, just wanted to do a quick recap on what we just were working on today. And it all had to do with this front end of the airplane and getting it buttoned up. Now, the fuselage was almost completely prepped. I mean, I didn't sand everything all the way down to where it was ready for paint, but within one or two more applications of filler. And the reason I wanted to stop there was because once the nose is on, we're going to have to use filler around this seam. The other thing I wanted to talk about is when the cowling was laid on. This is glued on now. The first thing I did was just paint with a brush that edge all the way around of the fuselage of where the firewall is, just about a 1/4 inch wide with the Type-On glue. And then we had drawn a line where we had a perfect fit. I fit the cowling on. I drew an ink line around to demarcate that perfect spot. And then once the glue was on, I pressed the nose on and fitted it to that line all the way around. So now we've got a nice straight fit. What I mean is, when we look at the engine crankcase bell and where the prop is going to be, you can see that's a straight line right there. Let me check the camera. And it's also straight looking down over the top. We've got a straight line there. And also, we can tell it's not cocked because we can see the motor is dead center of the opening. And then the next part of that was to set up the lower chin scoop inside the cowling there to get those three parts glued in and well fitted and applied to the airplane. Now there's still a little bit of touch up I'll need to do. I can see a bit of a gap there where I laminated a thickening piece to the front edge of the main part of the scoop. Probably in the light you can see it. There's just a little bit of a line there that doesn't need to be there. So I'll just put a little filler, sand that, and we'll repaint that with the interior green. Right. So, as I said, now with the nose completely assembled to the airplane, the engine installed and all that, now we can go with an overall 2, possibly 3 more layers of wet application spackle with sanding in between coats. And that's really just to finally eliminate all of the wood grain, if there's any still showing, as well as to complete that smoothing process on the seam to get this to just flow to where you can't tell that this is a separate piece from this. It's just smooth. Because as I've said, when Guillow made this or designed this kit, instead of putting bulkhead number 1 here where the firewall should be, and molding this entire thing out of the plastic, which would have made sense, but they're making a rubber band flyer first. That's their first and foremost objective. So with that in mind, it makes more sense to have more durability here and just have the plastic out on the end. So it just makes the modeler's task a little more interesting. But I will be paying special attention to getting this smooth. We don't want any transition lines. And you can see it's possible. There is a bit of a transition on this cowling due to the abruptness of the transition innate in their design. But as you can see, there is no clear visible line or crack of any kind. And that's what we're looking for when I put this, get this all sealed and then get that spackle on that. I want it to look as if, it's all one piece. You know what I mean. Right, and once all that's done, we get that resurfaced and blended and smooth here. Then all the cockpit details can be fabricated and installed. Want to make that look pretty realistic, because that's just a fishbowl of a canopy, and you'll be able to see everything in there very clearly. It's not like some of the cockpits on a lot of fighter planes where it's a greenhouse and it's smaller and closer fitting to the pilot and all that stuff, where there's just a ton of, in this case, there's just a ton of visibility into the cockpit. So I want to make sure for that reason that it is fairly accurately detailed. Right, so that'll be the next task moving forward, and then once the cockpit is done, all the pieces and components laid in, I can begin to work on that wing and the landing gear and flaps. As I mentioned, I want those to be operable, movable, posable, however you want to put it, so that I can say mission accomplished when I'm done. Right, okay, so that's where we're at. This is the current state of our Republic P-47D bubble top project. Most likely going to be in Hub Zemke's camouflage with the invasion stripes and all that. Just like the box top, I think we'll just go with that. Got the decals for it. I don't have to lay out any extra cash, so we'll just probably look at that. I really don't like Guillow decals, so anything is possible. I could change my mind anytime. Like I often do when I talk about how I want to finish the airplane. It really depends on what the airplane looks like after construction, right before paint, and then and that's usually when I decide on what I want to do. It could end up in the polished aluminum look. I could go with one of those airplanes. Who knows, right? At this point, we got such a long way to go. This is, not even 30% probably of our total production effort here. What I've got here, about 30%. So I'm gonna have to put equal time to this into the wings, and then we still have the tail to make sure the landing gear is operable, and then all the details, and then all the painting. So still a ton of work. All right, but this is where we're at. I think the chin scoop effect came out pretty good. That's just my opinion. The engine is detailed, but you've got to look in there to see it. The green looks a little blotchy maybe on the interior, but that's because you're seeing light pass through. Once the exterior is painted, there's a layer of paint out here. That's going to be disappearing. It'll look a more solid interior green inside. It only looks that way, as I say, because the light's passing through the part. There's no paint on the exterior of the part. All right, so here we are. Yeah, okay. Thanks for watching, and as always, I appreciate everyone. Questions, comments are welcome, absolutely. Anything you want to see, let me know. With regard to the model building, obviously. If there's any process that's unclear, if you have any questions, just ask in the comments section, and I'll do my best to reply to those as quick as I can. I have a computer again now, aside from the little laptop, which is just barely getting by. The new PC will allow me to hopefully explore some of the post-production projects that I can maybe polish up some of these videos, maybe edit them and stitch a few together and have it be a little bit less, piecemeal. I don't know. Comments are welcome, but as I said, I appreciate everybody, and thank you for watching. Have a great day.